What's up YouTube? I'm Kevin, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 30 liter Dragonfly Ultra from ULA Equipment. The Dragonfly has been on my radar for quite some time. I finally got around to picking up this one. This is the 30 liter Ultra 400TX Blackmagic version. I've been using it as an EDC bag. I've used it to travel back and forth to work. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the ins and outs of this bag. We'll look at designs, materials, features, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of the Dragonfly Ultra from ULA Equipment. So starting with materials and specs, this is the Ultra 400TX version, as I mentioned, and if you're not familiar with Ultra, it is an extremely durable, very weather-resistant material from Challenge Sailcloth. Ultra is a UHM WPE material, which stands for Ultra High Molecular Weight Polyethylene. Very tough, very high strength to weight ratio. And then the Ultra material also has a very high abrasion resistance number. So very strong material, but also very lightweight. So aside from the 400TX Ultra exterior and the Ultra stretch that we have on the front pocket as well as the side pockets, we also have YKK AquaGuard zippers. So we've got number 8s and number 5s. The main zippers are number 8. And then the smaller zippers for the other pockets on the exterior are number 5s. These are the matte finish type, so it's a really cool look to it. It's not shiny like the typical AquaGuard zippers. These are the matte finish type, and it's a really cool look. I think it fits well with the aesthetic. I love the fact that they have those matte style AquaGuard zippers. The weight of this thing empty is a paltry, a minuscule 27.4 ounces, which is just absolutely insane when you compare that to other travel bags of this size. So Ultra and these lightweight materials are making their way into the EDC and carry world travel bags, and it's a win for us because we get an ultra lightweight bag in this case with some very nice features to it, and we'll go through the rest of those features as we go along. So the volume of this is 30 liters. The main body is 21.8 liters. And then you've got 2.6 liters each for the side pockets and then 3 liters for this front stretch pocket. The max load ULA Equipment recommends for this pack is 25 pounds. So you do have to keep it on the lighter side. And I don't know if that's for comfort or for durability purposes, but 25 pounds is the number on their website for max load. It's got a 15-inch laptop sleeve in the back. The dimensions of the bag overall are 18.5 inches by 11 inches by 7 inches. And then the internal mesh pockets, so you've got a couple internal mesh pockets inside that are 7.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And then the quick access pocket is 11 inches by 6 inches by 3 inches. So you've got a lot of good pockets in here, a lot of good organization. We'll get to the interior a little bit later in the video. But right now we're going to talk more about the exterior. So right off the bat, you'll notice the shock cord on the front. You've got this shock cord. You can use the shock cord to capture a shirt, a jacket, a lightweight jacket, anything you really could fit in there. You have some stretch to it. You can pull it tight. You've got one of these locking compression type hardware fittings on there. So when you pull it tight, you can lock it down. Above that, we've got a loop field. So the standard size loop field for morale patches. It comes with a ULA Equipment patch on there. Obviously, you can switch that out to whatever you want. Below that, we've got a zipper. So this is a number 5 YKK with some cordage knotted, very nice zipper pull. And that provides entry to this ultra stretch pocket area. So inside there, I've got a cap 1. Be advised, if you pack this bag out, this gets a little bit hard to access, not because of the stretch. So you can stretch, you've got a lot of stretch in this material for volume, but the zipper doesn't stretch. So you have to be careful what you put in there. If you put it in there before you load it out and then try to grab it, you may run into issues because, again, that zipper doesn't stretch, even though the mesh does. So probably better for multiple items that may become bulky when combined because that's going to stretch out and then you can still get good access. So the Ultra Stretch material is fantastic choice for that front pocket. Moving on to the side pockets, we've got Ultra Stretch on both sides that serve as water bottle pockets, accessory pockets. You could put a tripod in there and cinch it down with the straps above it. I have a 26-ounce insulated Yeti in there. This is full. I've got about 20 pounds of gear stuffed out in this bag, including the cap one I've already removed, and the water bottle. The water bottle is full, so this whole load outweighs 20 pounds. I've got the inside stuffed pretty well and still able to put a 26-ounce insulated Yeti in there. So it definitely takes some stretch. It gives you good expandability to put water bottles in there. You're going to be able to put just about any water bottle you want in there, even with the bag completely stuffed out, because you've got all that stretch. On the top side of the bag, we do have another YKK zipper for access into the quick access pocket. And you can put quite a bit of stuff in there. This is a very generous quick access pocket. Right now I've got some hand sanitizer in there. I've got my new minimalist wallet from Leo's Leather Goods that I've been carrying lately, a hero clip, and then just some miscellaneous stuff, a sanitizing wipe from United, and a cable, and my AirPods. That all fits in there with plenty of extra room. So we've got some very great, and some Listerine breath strips. We've got some very durable gray material in there. I'm not sure what this material is, but it feels like a very durable nylon. It's thicker than standard pet cloth, or it might be a pet cloth, but on the thicker side. So very durable feeling. Lots of room in that quick access pocket, and that pocket can stretch over the entire top of this bag. So you've got lots of room for essentials on the go that could fit in there. I mean, you could probably put a cap one in there. It's a little bit snug, but you can fit a cap one in there. Good luck getting it back out though. Behind the quick access pocket, we've got a nice grab handle for this bag. So we've got a generous loop. It's padded, it's nice, it feels comfortable to carry while maintaining a lower profile and keeping the bag lightweight. So really nice addition, and that's a fantastic grab handle with some padding in there to make it nice and comfortable to carry by hand. On the back side, we've got another YKK OptiGuard zipper in there. This one is for access to the laptop sleeve. It's a 15-inch laptop sleeve. I've got my 14-inch laptop in there. And another watch out, when you're using this pocket, if the bag is very stuffed out, it does tend to get tight for a laptop in there. So that's something you have to consider when you're stuffing this bag out, is if you overstuff it, you're gonna eat up the room in that laptop compartment. And then that does have a false bottom, so it ends about right here. Your laptop is nicely suspended off the ground. We've got some good padding in the back to protect that laptop, as well as what feels like a little bit of rigidity from that padding. Then below that pocket, we've got the harness system for this bag. So we've got some PALS webbing loops down the front. We've got more webbing for the sternum strap in this area. This webbing is all open, so there's no stitching between. You can move the sternum strap wherever you need it. And same with the other side. The sternum strap itself, there's an option for a magnetic upgrade. I didn't go with that. I stuck with the side lock buckle, which I'm fine with. We've got some stretch on this side, which is nice to have for a sternum strap because you get a little bit of shock absorption in there. And then this side is solid webbing. We've got a nice hardware buckle in there. Overall, not a bad sternum strap. Glad that the pack came with one. The straps themselves have a very nice curve to them. That does make these straps very comfortable. The width is nice, but the padding is definitely on the minimal side. So you've got a little bit of padding in there. The back side, you've got a mesh material that's the same as the back panel. So I can say comfort-wise, keeping this bag around 25 pounds or less, the bag wears very comfortably. And I think anything in excess of that, you're probably gonna start feeling these thin straps dig into you a little bit. Overall though, nicely constructed, great construction, very well made. And then at the base of both of the straps, we've got a couple loops down here if you did want to attach a hip belt. So the hip belt's optional, you don't have to have one, but if you do want to put one on there, you've got the loops to attach a hip belt right there. So onto the back panel, we've got good ventilation built in because we've got this big U channel, which is going to allow heat to rise out. You've got the mesh all around, which is very breathable, and then extra padding in there. So you've got a little bit of rigidity in here for that back panel. And then there's not so much a frame sheet in there, it's more like frame padding, and it doesn't seem to be removable. It does seem to be designed with a curve in it that follows your back a little bit when you load it out. I can tell you it's a little bit different when you have a laptop in there versus when you don't. And for some reason, it wears more comfortably for me when there is a laptop in this compartment. I've noticed when there isn't a laptop in there, I feel like the bottom end tends to curl up a little bit, and I can feel that in my back. And you've got this seam right here. Just something to be aware of. Didn't make it unusable at all, still carried very well. The bottom of the bag is just plain Ultra material. What I can say too, as far as the bottom goes, this bag is not designed to stand up on its own. So it's kind of got that forward curve to it, or it's got that curved effect with a tapered bottom. So this bag definitely not going to stand on its own. Also, for travel, if you do travel with any roller luggage, you'll notice there is no luggage passed through on here, which is not necessarily a big deal, but just something to notice. Back to the loop field for a minute, just as an FYI, there is also a version available without the loop field. So if you prefer not to have a patch on there, there is a version that comes with no loop field. So that about wraps it up for the exterior of this bag. Let's take a look at what's inside. So opening this up, we've got, as I mentioned, two large number 8 YKK zippers. This is a little bit interesting because of the way it opens, and that is the very front of the bag unzips. So you've got basically full clamshell access, but it's a little bit narrower than the width of the bag because it's on top of the taper for the sides. So just kind of an interesting note, and that does affect access as well as packability, and we'll get into that as we go through. But starting with the back of the flap, we've got two generous mesh pockets in here covered with YKK zippers, and this we've got all the way up in the top, and then pretty sizable area to organize odds and ends, whatever you may have that you don't want intermingling with the rest of your stuff. I've got some meds in there, and then down here I've got an air tag and some earplugs. I was folding up this shirt and putting it in there because this shirt does fold down nice and small. So a little bit of organization, not a ton of organization. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Moving on to the main compartment. Now they say the inside is 21.8 liters, but to me it loads like a bigger bag, more like 26 plus. And you'll see as I go through here what I was able to fit. So right on top, I've got a travel shirt I like to have, and if I'm not wearing it, it sits right on top nice and neat, or in one of these pockets for grab access. Now underneath, I've got clothes on the bottom, compressed with the compression straps that are built into the bottom of this pack, and then I've got some carry organization stuff, tech gear on top. Typically I'm a packing cube kind of guy, but I wanted to demonstrate the compression straps, and you don't have to use any type of packing cube in there because you've got some built-in compression straps that hold everything neatly in place. So if I undo this compression strap, I've got a t-shirt in here, Western Rise, got a pair of Western Rise pants, 686 pants, and then a very thick 72-hour proof merino hoodie. So you can probably compress about a week's worth of clothes on the bottom of this bag. At least I could. Then maybe I'd have to stick some odds and ends in different places like underwear and socks, but pretty sizable compartment. And the fact that the zip opens on the top makes it very easy to load out because you've got all this depth built in, and then you're not trying to smash it together to zip. You know, if you have the clamshell design where it's kind of splits in the middle, you might have to kind of push, and you know, some of that volume is actually in the lid when you close it. And it's hard to determine how far you can have the stuff sticking up over the sides and then still get the lid closed. This kind of rules that out because when you load it out, you know that's it. And then you close this and you're good to go. On the top side, I've got a Garage Built Gear Ultimate EDC organizer. I've got a cap 2. And then I still have room for JBL speaker and a cap half on the top. So this is what the inside looks like. Just a big open space, no organization save for the two mesh pockets on the front lid. You've got these very handy compression straps built in. So if you don't want to use packing cubes, you don't have to, and you can cinch everything down with these straps. Or you can just connect them, cinch them down, they'll stay on the bottom. out of your way. So that's basically it for the interior. We've covered the whole thing, not a whole lot to it. You can see there's some padding built into there. The bottom is that gray pack material that feels pretty durable. It's the same material, it looks like, as the quick access pocket. So this is the quick access pocket down inside. You can see the back side of the Ultra material, the Challenge Ultra material. And then otherwise we've got all the seams, everything sewn together in there. Construction on this bag seems pretty top notch. Feels like it's gonna last. And overall, very nice setup. So a little bit of organization, not too much. Otherwise, just a blank canvas, open cavity for you to organize any way you like. All right, let's move on to what I like and what I don't like in this bag. So starting with likes, number one is it's light, and it's designed to be light. It's basically ultralight outdoor gear meets travel and EDC, which is pretty cool. We're starting to see more and more of this conversion, and we're the winner as the consumer because we're starting to see much lighter equipment and gear designed for travel and everyday carry. So I really like the fact that this is such a light pack. I mean, it's empty, and let me pull this flashlight out of there because that's, I mean, it's feather light. There's no weight to it. It's everything that you put in there is going to be the bulk of the weight. You're not carrying any extra weight in the bag itself. So very cool in that respect. Number two is going to be the materials, and the materials are part of the reason why it's so light, but then there's also extra added benefits to those materials, such as weather resistance with the Ultra, abrasion resistance with the Ultra. Ultra is basically a bomb-proof material. This material is going to provide you with all the weather resistance and abrasion resistance you should need, and it's very strong and very lightweight. So I love the Ultra material. Same with the Ultra Stretch. The Ultra Stretch is just great material. Number three is going to be the top design. So this plus and minus to this, on the plus side, it makes it very easy to pack because you've got the tall sides with basically a lid zip cover. On the other hand, though, it does make it a little bit more difficult to get stuff in and out in a half zip scenario or a top zip scenario. So if you need to get at things, it could be a little bit more cumbersome on the move. But otherwise, overall, I think it's a net positive. I really like that design about this bag. And I think that's really a big part of what makes this bag so usable. And lastly, in terms of likes, I would say is the organization. There's enough, but not too much. You've got the quick access pocket on top to get that stuff quickly on the go. You've got some organization built into the lid to store stuff you don't want intermingling and potentially relatively quick access to. You've got the front stretch pocket. I mean, you've got the zipper on here, and then you've just got this massive big stretch pocket that you could put anything you want in there. Keep in mind, though, that might get wet if it does downpour. So I really like the open concept and the open design with moderate organization. Really like that about this bag. One more thing to mention, too, I'm going to go back a little bit with the materials. Another huge benefit to Ultra is it's very pet hair resistant. So Ultra is easy to clean and it doesn't attract pet hair. Now the mesh, that's a different story. Same with the spacer mesh or the breather mesh on the back panel. That's a hair magnet. But the Ultra material itself, very easy to clean and does not attract pet hairs. All right, let's move on to dislikes. And I'm gonna stretch a little bit on this. It's more like, I guess, nitpicky gripes because there's really not a whole lot not to like about this bag. But nonetheless, there's a couple things I am gonna mention. So number one is it doesn't stand on its own, which isn't necessarily a deal breaker for me. I'm not the type of person that has to have a bag that stands on its own, but this one really doesn't stand on its own. You've got that tapered bottom. So just something to consider and definitely not a deal breaker for some people, but maybe for others. Number two would be what I mentioned earlier with this bottom lip tending to curl in a little bit, and I feel it in the small of my back. Again, does not make the bag unusable, still has an overall very comfortable fit and feel to it. And then lastly, back to material. While overall I love Ultra, I'm a huge fan of the material, just be advised, it does have a pretty high crinkle factor. So Ultra is crinkly material, and That's just the way it is. So to get the benefits of Ultra, you kind of have to deal with the crinkly. And then you can see you start to get a little bit, you get creases in there, you can see the creases. That doesn't bother me, but I think it could bother other people. Number 3 on my dislikes is there is no built-in strap management. So I added, and I didn't show this in the video, but I added some ties on there, which was kind of an unsuccessful attempt to manage cables. Now I could come up with something obviously better and a little bit more permanent, but there is no built-in strap management. So when you pull these straps tight, they are gonna dangle, and you might have to add something if you don't like dangling straps, which I'm typically not a big fan of dangling straps, but not a huge deal, just something to be aware of, and it's definitely manageable. So let's talk use case scenarios for a minute and who this bag is for. So to me, this is a very large EDC bag or a minimal one bag travel bag at 30 liters. Now they make a bigger version of this bag, which is really gonna be mainly suited for travel. I believe it's a 35 liter version, but this 30 liter, it holds more than enough for me to travel indefinitely. I could easily do a week in this bag of personal travel. You know, work travel is a different story for me. I have a lot of stuff that's not gonna fit in here, like my steel toe boots, although they might, but then I really wouldn't have a whole lot of room for anything else. So I think where this really shines is as a minimal travel bag or a very large EDC bag or a combination of both. And what I was using it for was a travel bag / my back and forth to the plant bag when I was traveling for work, and it worked out perfect for that situation. Who it's not gonna be for is anyone that has to carry a lot of heavy gear. Keep in mind, 25 pounds is the stated max. And while I'm sure you could stuff more in there and it might hold up, I don't think it's going to be that comfortable. I even noticed myself that as the weight went up, it is a little bit less and less comfortable. Overall though, as long as I kept my load out around 25 pounds, everything was fine. But if you've got a lot of heavy, bulky gear, maybe you're a photographer, you're a camera person, whatever the case, definitely not a bag for heavy, bulky gear. If you're looking for a minimal travel bag or even a personal bag to bring with for some extra gear and a 1.5 bag or 2 bag setup, great option for you as long as you're going to keep that load nice and lightweight. If you're going to be out and about with a lot of heavy gear and equipment, you're going to want to look at something a little bit more substantial and comfortable in terms of its load-bearing abilities. What do you think of the Dragonfly Ultra from ULA Equipment? Drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Thoughts, questions, comments, whatever you got. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button for me and definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks.